Hello, dear. If you hear me, it means you've already come far on the path of light. I know you strive for spiritual growth, trying to keep harmony and love in your soul. But on this path, obstacles often appear, and one of them is lies, leading to conflicts with others, passivity, and self-destruction.
In shamanism, this obstacle is called the spirit of lies. I have been through it myself, and I know very well how deceitful and dangerous a lie can be, especially if we lie to ourselves.
This isn't something people usually talk about, and it's not taught in any ordinary school. Only through the power of sacred shamanic wisdom was I able to realize that I was living a lie, and finally see the world and myself in a new way, clearly and truthfully. It has completely transformed my entire life, and now I want to share this knowledge with you.
By freeing myself from the spirit of lies, I realized how deeply mistaken I had been in assessing my own actions and the behavior of other people. Before, I would periodically feel irritation, anger, and resentment. All of that is gone. I felt an amazing inner harmony. I saw myself without any embellishment and understood what I needed to work on. It was not easy, but a process of transformation immediately began within me, which led to development, bright joy, and spiritual growth.
For a long time, I didn't even suspect I was under the power of a spirit of lies, that it controlled my behavior, pulled me down, and hindered my path to the light. Want to find out if the poison of lies is poisoning your life? In this video, you'll find a simple yet highly effective diagnostic. With it, you'll easily be able to identify warning signs that require the right treatment.
A person resorts to deception for various reasons, the main ones being fear of judgment and punishment, protection of self-esteem, and the desire to gain personal or collective benefit. Neuroscientists and psychologists distinguish two types of lies. First, we deliberately deceive other people. Second, we deceive ourselves. In our familiar world, there is no such concept as lying to oneself. From early childhood, our parents told us that lying to others is bad. We have often heard this from movie characters or literary figures. But think back, did anyone ever mention lying to oneself? The notion that we cannot lie to ourselves was taken for granted because we know our own thoughts and desires better than anyone else. However, scientists have relatively recently proven that besides the conscious mind, which resides on the surface of our intellect, there are other layers of the psyche. For example, subconscious and unconscious areas. They contain information we are not aware of, but which continues to influence our behavior daily. Thus, we can lie to ourselves and not see the true state of affairs. The shamanic tradition, back in ancient times, defined the essence of the phenomenon of lying to oneself. In the shamanic language, we will call it the spirit of lies. Possession by the spirit of lies is the most terrible and dangerous kind of deception. And here is why. When we deceive other people, we at least understand that we are not telling the truth. That is, we do not lose the ability to distinguish truth from falsehood. When we deceive ourselves, we sincerely believe we are right, and do not see that we are actually deeply mistaken, that the spirit of lies has already penetrated our energy shell and has begun to exert its influence on us. Therefore, we fiercely defend a lie before others, thinking that we are defending the truth. We justify ourselves and our vices. We blame other people, unable to even understand that we are under the power of a lie. And if we do not see the problem, we do not understand that we need to fight it. Meanwhile, the spirit of lies within us grows like an infection, capturing all areas of our brain and influencing every sphere of our life. The infection of a lie can be recognized by the following symptoms. 1. Self-justification. When a person finds excuses for their vices and mistakes, they deprive themselves of the opportunity to become better, to work on their own negative qualities, and to improve. For example, a guide of power remarks to an assistant that he did not conduct the session well enough, and instead of gratitude and a desire to analyze his mistakes, he begins to justify himself. No, I conducted the session well. It's just that the guide of power dislikes me and wants to hurt me. So he found an excuse for himself, did not want to see and work on the mistakes, blocking his own path to growth and development. And instead of gratitude, he even took offense at the mentor, but didn't say anything directly, hiding his resentment. Thus, the infection of the lie took even deeper root in his soul. 2. Passivity. When a person does not want to develop, they always try to justify their own inaction. This is how the spirit of lies enters them and seizes complete control over their mind. Thoughts like these arise.
No, I won't do the practices or read the books. I'm fine as I am. I know and can do enough. I don't need any more knowledge.
The great thinker Socrates himself said, "I know one thing, that I know nothing." That is, even the most righteous, intelligent people would never say that they do not need knowledge, because they see reality more broadly and do not slumber in lies and illusions. 3. Blaming others. The spirit of lies infiltrates us when we shift the responsibility for our laziness, carelessness, and other vices onto others. No, it's not that I was lazy and did the task poorly. It's that my boss didn't explain well how to do it correctly. 4. Cunning. A person begins to be cunning because they know they haven't done something or have done it incorrectly, made a mistake somewhere, shown laziness, envy, or other vices. Fearing judgment and punishment, they begin to deceive their mentor. In this way, the person tries to hide their own imperfection, not understanding that they are hindering themselves from becoming better and moving forward. When reporting, "I'm a little short, but it's nothing serious. We'll adjust the numbers now. No one will even notice." But the person fails to consider that, at that very moment, they are letting the spirit of lies into their life, and it begins to destroy them from within. 5. Susceptibility to manipulation. Self-deception begins from within, and then betrayal grows from such a lie. For example, Judas betrayed Christ because he lived in self-deception. He considered himself better and smarter than others, and therefore always doubted everything. As a result, he was easily deceived by the Pharisees, who told him, "If Jesus is so holy, then you can easily betray him, because everything will be fine with him anyway. He will simply ascend to heaven." And Judas succumbed to that manipulation. A person who lies to themselves is always easy to deceive because they see neither the truth about themselves nor about others. Consequences. How a person's life is destroyed. The influence of the spirit of lies does not pass without a trace for a person, leading to sad consequences, conflicts. By deceiving themselves, a person begins to defend the so-called truth to others while judging and attacking them. Such behavior often meets resistance and leads to open confrontation, and then to social isolation. No one wants to communicate with such a person. Career crisis. A person who does nothing and constantly makes excuses for it will quickly be fired from any job. Furthermore, no one will tolerate constant whining. "Why does Maria get a bigger bonus than I do? I work better." Problems with like-minded people and loved ones. If a person constantly lies to themselves, it seems to them that their loved ones do not appreciate their efforts, while the loved ones themselves are not doing anything good for the spiritual family. For example, we reproach,
"No one values or loves me,"
instead of thinking, "What am I doing wrong? How can I improve the relationships? Maybe I should change something in myself. Work on myself." Diagnostics. How to determine if you are infected with lies? You start having the following thought and phrases. "Knowledge isn't for me. I already know everything just fine. I don't have time for practices. I'm okay as I am. I'm developing enough as it is. I try harder than anyone, and no one appreciates me. The mentor is criticizing me on purpose to hurt me." Others do significantly less than I do, but they get more. No one values or loves me. I give so much of my time to people, and they are ungrateful. They won't even say thank you. If you notice such thoughts and words in yourself, this is a troubling sign. The spirit of lies has already taken hold of you.
Miriam was one of the most successful organizers of women's events in the country. She actively studied the knowledge of the school. She did the practices, went on retreats, meditated, and read intelligent spiritual literature. Beautiful, active, bright, she shone from within and shared this inner light with those around her, earning their admiration. Miriam was happy in all areas of her life. She felt loved and in demand. Her classes were always full of women. The participants saw positive changes in themselves. They attracted prosperity, found worthy men, and made strides in their careers. The girls and women told their friends about her classes, attracting other people, seeking light and development to the school. But one day, the spirit of lies entered Miriam. When her mentor pointed out shortcomings in how she conducted the class, she began to justify herself. That can't be. I taught the lesson perfectly, as always. And he's just biased against me and is simply afraid that all the disciples will only come to me. Miriam fell into a sweet self-deception, did not believe her mentor, did not listen to his valuable advice, but on the contrary, took offense at him and did not use his words to work on her mistakes. One self-justification led to another, and in the end, she was overcome by spitefulness and passivity. Another spirit that can ruin an entire life. She stopped improving and decided that she no longer needed the knowledge of the spiritual school at all, because she believed she already knew everything perfectly well. Miriam stopped reading spiritual books and preparing for classes. She no longer showed her disciples the videos and courses of the spiritual school, and instead of taking people to places of power, she took them to cultural monuments. The mentors tried to reason with her, but she began to twist things, to be cunning and to deceive them, hiding new disciples from the mentors and turning the disciples against the spiritual school. She no longer shone from within, became nervous and irritable, sarcastic and angry, which led to problems in her relationships with family and like-minded people. She constantly looked for someone to blame for her troubles, continuing to lie to herself and to the people around her. Being afflicted by the spirit of lies led to sad consequences. 1. Miriam ceased to be a guide of light. She no longer carried the truth, and as a result, the disciples stopped perceiving the knowledge. 2. She began to accuse the disciples of being stupid and unwilling to learn. In the end, after each class, instead of happiness and lightness, the disciples were left with a depressed mood and headaches. 3. Fewer and fewer newcomers started coming to the group. The disciples stopped telling their friends and acquaintances about the practices. 4. Instead of transmitting knowledge, Miriam talked about secrets of making soup and problematic situations in her family. As a result, the disciples absorbed the karma of her lineage and family, receiving her energetic larvae. Gradually, they began to experience difficulties in relationships and illnesses. One day, Miriam decided to conduct a complex shamanic practice without any preparation or blessing, and this became the last straw. she forgot that the practice requires very lengthy inner tuning and forced people who were simply not ready for it to walk on hot coals. Many people, including children, received burns and leg injuries. This caused a major public outcry, and the group fell apart completely. As a result, people striving for the light were led away from the true power.
Being overcome by the spirit of lies had dire consequences for Miriam herself, her students, and those around her. She thought she knew it all, that she didn't need to learn anymore, that she didn't need knowledge. Consequently, she betrayed the spiritual school, just as Judas betrayed Christ, and faced many problems. Miriam truly didn't understand why everything had collapsed. She believed she was still bringing goodness to people, that she was still filling them with light. She didn't realize it was all the spirit of lies, and she kept lying to herself and to everyone else.
This is the terminal stage of the disease. A person is incapable of looking at themselves sanely. They do not see how deeply the poison of lies has penetrated their soul. So, let's remember an important reference point. If you see that even the most authoritative person begins to say that they know everything and have reached perfection, it means they are afflicted by the disease, the mental infection of lies. A true master will always seek spiritual development.
Achieving perfection is impossible. It's a very high level. Once such a lie takes root, a person starts justifying their passivity and laziness. No, I won't do the practices or read books. I'm doing fine as it is. I know and can do enough. I don't need any more knowledge. This self-deception builds up, completely blocking the path to further development. A person is infected with the lie if they...
A person is infected with the disease of lies if they perceive any criticism as a hostile attack, take offense if their mistakes and shortcomings are pointed out, say that they no longer need new knowledge, justify their own failures, unable to admit they were wrong, act cunningly, deceiving the guides of power, tell their disciples about their family problems, look for someone to blame for their own laziness, envy, and other vices, speak poorly of their disciples or other organizers.
A person like that can't help anyone. In fact, he is in desperate need of help himself. The problem is worsened by the fact that he doesn't see or even realize it. In a situation like this, the best thing you can do is tell the mentors of the spiritual school about what you've observed. You should do this not to judge or expose the person leading the class, but rather to reach out and offer them a helping hand. Remember, the sooner you do this, the greater the chances of a successful recovery from this mental infection.
You cannot fight this infection alone. Otherwise, it will very quickly turn into a real epidemic. You cannot suppress it by willpower alone. Another more powerful source of energy is needed. The antidote to the poison of lies is the conscious practice of the elixir of truth. 1. Answer the questions. How can I become better and help others today? What can I do for this? Create a written list of simple actions. Every day, perform one or several actions from this list. Let it become a beneficial habit. This way, you will focus your attention on your imperfections, stop justifying your vices and mistakes, and gain a critical view of your actions. This means that every day you will be getting closer to completely ridding yourself of the spirit of lies.
My dear, now you know the dangers that the spirit of lies brings. It all starts small. We get thoughts that we know and can do everything, that we no longer need to learn new things and grow, that we do so much, but we're not appreciated.
The spirit of lies, or in other words, a mental pathogen, over time penetrates deeper into our mind. We lose a critical view of ourselves, begin to justify our mistakes and vices instead of fighting them and drawing conclusions from our experience. The mechanism of being afflicted by the spirit of lies is similar to the spread of an infection. If measures are not taken in time, the disease can lead to fatal consequences, both for the sick person themselves and for those around them.
Now you know how to perform a self-diagnosis to recognize an infection within yourself and drink the elixir of truth in time. This practice is also good for the prevention of a dangerous illness.
If you notice that the infection is manifesting in another person, it is important not to remain silent, but to help them fight the disease. Tell the guides of power. This will provide an opportunity to avoid falling under the influence of the infection and to prevent an epidemic.
Fighting the insidious spirit of lies isn't easy, but you don't have to do it alone. Now you have support and knowledge. Together we'll get rid of this dangerous poison and won't let it poison us and those around us. I believe the spirit of lies won't be able to extinguish your inner light.
In our extreme times, when the fate of the entire planet is at stake, it is crucial for the knowledge of angels and benevolent spirits to spread as quickly as possible, globally, and reach thousands of people. In this way, we can change the future of all humanity. Which is why we are addressing you, dear soul of light. Spread the knowledge about our wise books and films. Share links to videos or cartoons. All of this is available and free. Invite women to individual practices, webinars, and seminars. And the Great Spirit of Light will help you and your family. It will direct an enormous amount of energy to fulfill all your desires. Benevolent spirits and angels will assist you and your loved ones in all matters. A thread of light and love extends from your heart to the hearts of thirsty women, and the creation of good and the dissemination of enlightened knowledge throughout the world begins. Become part of the mission of light. Help people, and God will help you.